I met him in 67. I called around to his house, asked him to join the band. He was in a band called the Black Eagles at the time. And I was starting the band, and there was only two people I wanted in the band as lead vocalist, either him or Peter Adler, Larry Adler's son. And he wouldn't do it. So I went along to Phil, I asked him would he do it, and Phil said he would do it if I took Brian Downey as well. But I went around to Brian Downey and he didn't like me. He told Phil, if I don't like you, I don't trust him, I'm not taking the job, you know. So that's when I met Phil for the first time.
That was in 67. Was there any particular reason why you wanted him in the band?
Yeah, he looked great. That was the only reason. I didn't even know if he could sing. I just knew that walking down, he was the best looking guy walking down Grafton Street, 1967. He always dressed great, he looked great. And at that stage, he was very unusual in Dublin. Things have changed a lot since then.
This is a boy that is lost his sights. He's a stranger, prowls the night. He's a devil, that's right. To you and me, he's a renegade.
I've only had one job, and that was working for Tangent Taggart's in the north wall, or east wall. And I was an apprentice fitter and turner. And I wanted to be an architect, but, you go in saying you want to be an architect and you come out with a job as a fitter and turner. And the Black Eagles were still going at that time, and we were doing like weekend gigs. I got £2.05 for the apprenticeship, and I was coming away with a tenner from the gigs, and I never went back to work then after that once the summer holidays came up, because by that time the band was taking off.
Now, after the Black Eagles, you and Brian split for a while. You went with Skid Row, and Brian went to play with Sugarshack. That's right, I think. When did you two get back together again to form Lizzy?
When Brush decided that I was no longer necessary for the Skid Row setup, he said I should take up an instrument and learn how to play the bass before I was thrown out of the band, so he gave me a couple of bass lessons and I started taking up the bass. And the Sugarshack were starting to break up as well, so me and Brian had always been mates, regardless of whether we were playing together or not, And I knew he was up, so we said we'd form a band. And we formed The Orphanage with Pat Quigley. I wasn't playing bass, I was still learning bass at this time. The idea of The Orphanage was, it was supposed to be a nucleus of a band, and then we'd have like travelling members.
I think it was in 1970 that you went to London with Lizzy, and Brian Shute and Ted Carroll, yeah? What exactly did you do when you arrived in London? I mean, it must have been difficult for an Irish band to arrive in London. What did you do? Did you go to record companies? Did you try to get on the gig circuit?
Well, first of all, when we were going over on the boat, we met John Peel. It was a real stroke. And, we went over. John Peel had his programme, like he still has. And I walked up to him on the boat and I said, listen, I play in a group called Thin Lizzy, any chance of getting us on the show? And he liked the nerve of it, so he said, well, look us up when you get over, and I'll get you a session for the programme. So we had one contact.
How important do you think it was for him to leave Dublin? And
well, everybody has to leave Dublin, Dave. It doesn't matter what you are. It doesn't matter if you're Michael Liam or the guy selling newspapers. If you want to do it right, everybody thinks you have to go to London. Like there was a joke once that if you want to be a good prostitute, you have to go to London before people really accept you back here,